Welcome to another episode of the PPSS Success Show. My name is Fong. I'm an entrepreneur, business strategist, real estate investor, speaker, and also a best-selling author. And every single day, I help others unlock potentials and guide them to succeed. Today on the show, we have another amazing guest. On the show, we interview celebrities, entrepreneurs, business CEOs, athletes, and artists to find out their path to success, how they're able to overcome challenges and adversity, of course, the keys to success. And today's guest is somebody who's been driving change at all levels of business. He's come highly recommended by other people to have him on my show, so I'm very excited. He's somebody who's been helping individuals, businesses, and companies foster relationships, build teams, empower their teams so they're able to achieve more sustainable and greater success as well. He's been developing people to achieve their fullest potential. So please welcome consultant, thought leader, speaker, founder, and host of the podcast, Champion Mindset Collective, Mr. Anthony DAHYA.
Thank you, Fong.
Hey.
Glad to be here.
It's been a long time coming. Thanks for being here. It's always great chatting with people all the way from the other side of the world, and it's always a challenge to get times right, but all that kind of stuff is all great because I can't wait to chat with you. You have been somebody who's been achieving a lot of great success and helping a lot of people to achieve success because of relationships. But I just want to know from where did you come from to get to a person to become an expert in relationship building?
Yeah, well, it's a long story, and but the short version is I've been through quite a bit of trauma in my life. Starting at the age of 5 when my parents separated through family interference, which then at the age of 7 I got sent to an ashram in India, which was literally cross between a boarding school, but cross between army and prison. So you can imagine barbed wire fences, and you're 7 years old, and you're stuck in this boarding school, and you're not allowed out. I saw my father maybe once a year, once every couple of years. Never knew my mum until I was 21, and then after about 6 years, my father got remarried, and I moved back to New Zealand, and that's when the challenges started. My stepmother didn't treat me well, and I remember the age of 15, I was listening to some music. I was listening to Michael Jackson, and he was my favorite artist. And my stepmother didn't like that, and she tried to she had a go at me. And I said, I'm going to go and see my mum, even though I didn't know my mum. And she called my mum a bitch. Hopefully I can say that on here. And my natural reaction was to literally just slap her in the face. And yeah, it was just, 15 years old. I had a lot of anger built up to me. I was so angry because, not having the love and the affection of a mum, and then being treated in a way that really made me feel really low, lost my self-esteem, confidence, self-worth. And at the age of, my father came home, and she told him a whole lot of lies. And then basically, one thing led to another. He gave me a beating and told me I was useless. I wouldn't amount to anything. I'd never be a singer in my life. I cut myself, tried to kill myself. And then a little bit after that, I joined the church through some school friend and his mum. Became a singer in the church, took singing lessons. Then my father came to one of my concerts a little bit later in life. And he sat there and he bawled his eyes out. And he just realized that what he had said had made me stronger. And the thing is, from the age of 18, I backed myself and I believed in myself, no matter what. I didn't pass anything at school. I flunked school. I went straight to work. But one thing that's really set me up in life is the belief in myself and the backing to never give up and just keep going. And you can imagine later on in life how not having that mum's love and motherly love and the affection, how that would have played out in my personal relationships and work relationships. Every time someone pulled away from me, or I went through a restructure or a redundancy, I felt like I was being abandoned all over again. And as of today, I've just been through my 24th restructure in my career, been made redundant 3 times, and I'm still standing. I'm still going because I believe that we are all destined for greatness, and we all have the ability to champion our life and be champions in our life. And champions aren't made in the gym. We've got to really search deep within ourselves to become the person that we want to be. And so my vision has always been helping people, and whether it's directly or indirectly, it's always been about inspiring people and helping people become uh, who they're destined to be and unleash their potential within them.
Mhm. That is incredible. And I find it fascinating the fact that you said when you were, well, first of all, at the age of 7, you're already in a very difficult situation. But then at the age of 16, you said, now that's when things got bad. I'm like, what? I thought it was bad already. So for somebody who grew up in that environment, to have a mindset that would always believe in yourself, how does that translate? Because usually it's the other way around. When you grow up in a very difficult scenario, unsupportive parents and all that kind of stuff, usually you have a lot of limiting beliefs, a lot of negative talk, but you were the other way around. So how did you build that up?
Yeah, look, I did have a lot of negative beliefs, and I did have a lot of negative talk as well. And at one point, I almost ended up on the streets as a street kid in Wellington, which is the capital of New Zealand. And luckily, my friends, gave me a saving grace. They took me in. His mum took me in and became a Christian and started going to church and so on. If that hadn't happened, I don't know where I would have ended up. I probably would have ended up homeless or even dead. Um, and I've never done drugs or anything like that, but I was a very angry kid. I remember in India when I was in the boarding school, a kid was annoying me, and I had so much anger in me, and I told him to stop annoying me, and he wouldn't. And those things that you draw circles with, I took one of those and stabbed this kid through his hand into the table. Those are kind of things that I did because the anger I had in me, just, I didn't know how to let it out. But once I actually discovered you know, that there were some good people around, and and even though my best mate's mum, Barbara, she wasn't Indian, she was Kiwi. I was the only brown boy in the family, but she took me in as one of her own, and that spoke to me a lot about how if my mum's not there, and I knew my mum didn't do anything wrong, it's just that situation. It was the situation. It's what happened, right? And and this other person who doesn't know me at all has taken me into her house as like one of her kids. And she raised me until the age of 25, until I got married, and my marriage broke up 3 years later and had a stillborn baby. And it like the things just continued to happen. But what I learned to do was in the hard times, was to build that resiliency, is to believe in myself and back myself and say, no one's coming to save me. I've got to save myself.
So when things get really tough and you've gone through many scenarios where that has happened, what else do you do mindset wise to overcome those things? Because sometimes it's easy to just say, "Hey, I'm just gonna lie in bed and not get up in the morning," right? When things are really tough. What do you say every single morning to yourself? What's your routine so that you're up and ready to go and take action?
Yeah, yeah. So every morning when I wake up and I'm in my alpha brainwave state, what I do is I first of all I lie in bed with my eyes closed and I give gratitude for everything that I have in this world, this life. And so gratitude first, and that really sets me up because giving gratitude and the feelings and the emotions that you get from that really sets up your day. The second thing I do is I ground myself. Now, I visualize myself um, breathing in. So I do deep breathing into my belly, holding it. Then I visualize like a channel appearing from my legs going into the center of the earth, and an elevator appears, and I go into that elevator down to the center of the earth. I run across this bridge, and I stand at this clearing where there's ocean and the sun and the mountains, and it basically comes and the sun burns me off, and I'm just a complete shell. And then all of a sudden I regenerate, and then I go back up into my body, and I've grounded myself, and I'm a new person. So everything that happened yesterday is gone. As Eckhart Tolle says, we only have the present moment. So what happened yesterday is gone, right? you're in my future. Sorry, I'm in your future. You're in my past. Yet we're both in the present moment, right? And
Right.
so that's the thing is I always uh, have this mindset around, hey, I've only got today. It's no point me, you know, feeling sad or anything. What am I going to do to make the most of today? And what I've learned to do is to meditate, is to regulate myself, is to visualize and know that and trust and have faith that universe and God has got my back.
Mhm. Wow, that is something that I highly recommend people do. Being able to channel themselves, being able to control those emotions. Because in business and real estate and investing and all that kind of stuff, emotions really take over sometimes. You might make bad decisions. You might make bad relationship choices or partnerships because your emotions are so engulfed in the situation that you might act out of line and all that kind of stuff. And something even as simple as you're driving down the street and somebody cuts you off, you completely blow over. So what you mentioned there is how you can train your mind on a daily basis, so that people get that ability to control themselves. What about on spur of moment? Like sometimes,
Mm.
yeah, when all is said and done, yes, you can do something on a as a routine, but on spur of moment, sometimes, man, you just really want to flip the bird or you just really want to yell. How do you control your anger at a spur of moment scenario?
Yeah, look, we're human and we're not perfect and we're going to slip up, right? But the first thing we've got to really, I think the first thing we've really got to do is if we do slip up or stuff up, is to give ourselves compassion and say, look, it's okay,
Mm,
right? It's not the end of the world, but it's feedback, right? It's your body giving you feedback. It's your mind giving you feedback. And what I do is what I've learned to do recently in the last couple of years is really take that step back and zoom out a bit and go, what's going on here, right? And there are times where you might just need to not say anything or not react and really come from a place of observing and being curious about what's going on inside you and going, what's happening here? And the thing is, we're taught from a young age not to feel our emotions, not to, we're taught to push it down and so on. And I think it's really important that when things come up, that we don't stay in our head, but we move to our heart and really understand what's going on in our bodies. What is our body trying to tell us? And there's many people that use different techniques, like Mel Robbins talks about the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It takes about 90 seconds to shift that thinking. So give yourself time, pause. One of the techniques I learned when I was doing some coaching training was the pause, lead. So you pause and you pause again, and then you lead. So there are many techniques out there, but really, I think the fundamental thing is to really be curious about what's happening inside you.
mm,
And I've heard different people like Sadhguru and different people say, zoom out and just witness
mm,
and let it pass. Eckhart Tolle says, you have thoughts, they're like clouds, they just pass by. Let them pass by. If you picture yourself on the side of a motorway or a highway and cars are whizzing past, you're not going to see that car again. Just let it go.
mm.
Let it go. And so what I've learned is to observe, to let it go, to accept what it is. It is what it is. Forgive yourself if you do stuff up, and don't beat yourself up. Just and reframe your thoughts.
Mhm. Very great advice. I actually have a colleague who every time things like that happen, he goes, "Oh, I hope they're okay. Oh, I hope that everything is fine with them and all kind of stuff." They probably have a reason for doing what they're doing, so he gives the benefit of the doubt, which I think also is very, very effective as well. Now, you work with a lot of individuals, companies, businesses, helping them build their teams, empower their teams. What have you found as the most common mistakes that companies do that don't foster their teams or build those relationships so that they all work together more effectively?
Yeah, I think fundamentally, I think one of the things that, and I've worked mostly in technology for 30 something years, and technical people are really good at technical stuff, right? But they're not very good at communication, and they're not very good at, and especially the leaders, not very good at empathy. And so, I've just gone through a process just in the last few weeks where the communication has been so bad. Um, there's secrecy, there's no empathy, and people are left feeling more anxious through a change process. And I think that's where there needs to be some change in leadership. And I think that there's a lot of people I feel that are in leadership roles that are not quite leaders. They're more managers, because leaders empower their people. Leaders, leaders talk to the people. And I'm not sure if you know Daniel Tolson, but he's a friend of Ethan who recommended to me talk with you. And I interviewed him, and there was a reel that I put up recently on my Facebook and LinkedIn where he's talking about empathy-driven leadership. And I think there's room and there's a need for empathy-driven leadership. Brene Brown talks about this a lot.
Mhm.
Simon Sinek talks about this a lot. But it just seems like people are not taking notice, and then they wonder why people, leave companies. People don't leave their managers. They leave. Well, people. That's not that they don't like what they do. It's people will leave their leaders and their companies because they're not feeling safe. They're not feeling appreciated. They're not feeling like they're taken care of, and that's why people leave.
Mhm.
And I've seen people who who were impacted, who could have applied for roles, and they've just decided not to because they've had a guts full. They've had enough. So I think there needs to be a change where leadership communicate better, they're empathy driven, and they really care about their people,
Mhm.
because people are the ones that build culture, and people are the ones that make a company successful.
Mhm. No, I know stuff like that takes a long period of time to develop
Mm,
and actually for people to believe in. Because like from the leadership standpoint, yeah, they wanna help, they wanna become better leaders, they wanna foster those relationships, but there's it's very often that the employees will just like I know there's lots of surveys that go out there and goes how satisfied are you and what would you do to change and all that kind of stuff, and a lot of employees would just go through the motions and just check off the boxes just so that they could get it out of the way. How would you recommend leaders uh, deal with that scenario so that they can get honest responses and honest reactions from employees so that they can build a better relationship with employees so that they can work better? And then from the other standpoint, the employees, how do they open up themselves to be able to have those crucial conversations with leadership when things are not going as well as it should?
well, one word I'm gonna say is trust. Right? If you don't trust your leader, and your leader doesn't trust you, then you've got nothing.
Right.
And I recently did a survey, and I did mark down on a certain things because of the way the communication was. I think if people, and I've also been in organizations where the middle management have actually said, "Hey, if you don't score above this, then you're a detractor." Now that's actually trying to make themselves look good, right? And so I think that if leaders were more open to feedback, and doesn't matter if it's good feedback or bad feedback. And I've had general managers of companies say to me, "Oh, we don't want bad feedback." And I went, "Excuse me? Feedback is feedback. Whether it's good or bad, you learn about what's not right or what needs to improve." But I think there's so many people that are leaders that are ego driven that need to really, I think if they could actually just be more human and build build that rapport with their staff where the staff feel appreciated, they feel trusted, then those surveys would come out on top.
Mhm.
But you know, but like when you're forced to score a survey a certain way because the leader doesn't want to look bad, I think that's not right. But yeah, if I would say every employee that feels valued and trusted and appreciated would score high if the leaders were they showed up authentically, right?
Mhm.
If you showed up in as an with authenticity and with honesty, then I think that's the first steps of building trust. And
Mhm.
as John C. Maxwell says, without the bottom step is trust. Without trust, you can't climb. And what I've done is recently I was in a role as a business partner, a relationship manager, and I came into this organization, um, and within 2 to 3 months, I built rapport and respect with all of the general managers that I served
Mhm.
within 3 months. And and the only way I did that was by showing up authentically and serving, coming with the heart of servanthood, not of what I can get from something. It's about what can I give? What difference can I make in this organization today? Right? What can I what how can I improve the experience for this customer? And when I announced to these leaders that hey, next month is going to be my last day at this role, the looks on their faces just spoke a million words
Mhm.
because they were not very happy about what was happening.
Mhm.
So, it shows me that they trusted me. I built that rapport with them. They trusted me, and that I'd done everything I could to help them in their departments. Yeah.
Mhm. You talked about those surveys that companies put out there. I find that some companies are pretty sneaky. They limit the amount of choices you get. It's like yes or no, true or false, and also like you're not giving much options here. I guess it's true. So then they go, oh wow, we get 100% acceptance and all that kind of stuff. You talked about walking into a new environment, uh, being authentic. And I think that's the very first step of building rapport and breaking the ice and all that kind of stuff. However, I still find that there's a lot of people out there who find networking and breaking that ice very, very challenging. How do you approach that aside from being authentic? What do you ask? How do you open up conversation so that people are more open to you?
Yeah. I think everyone wants to be heard, right? Everyone wants to, I wouldn't say be center of attention, but everyone wants to be heard. And so I think the first thing you can do is really, what I do is I don't talk about work. When I meet a new person, I get to know them. I want to know who they are outside of work, what they do, what are they passionate about, because that's something that you can connect with
Mhm.
on a non-work level, and then you can actually build that relationship. I'll tell you a little story. So I remember 3.5 years ago, I joined this transport agency, and I was told by everyone in my team that this one lady was really hard to work with, and she's just a nightmare. And I was like, "Thank you, I'll make my own judgment." So I went to this meeting, and I had a graduate there with me, working with me, and he sat on the side of the table, and I was sitting next to this lady and across from this lady, and I said, "Tell me about you." And she started talking about work. I said, "No, no, stop, stop." I said, "I want to know who you are." And she was just like taken back, and she said, "Oh, I've got a PhD. I'm from India, and blah blah blah." And, I said, "Right, thank you. Now I feel like I know you and understand who you are." I said, "Now tell me about work." And she spent the next 45 minutes venting based on her experience of what was happened. Now, I got one story from my team, and I got a story from her. And even though I've been new in this role, I said to her, "I'm very sorry for what you went through. and I'd like to apologize. And she said, no, 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 you weren't at fault. You weren't even here. I said, no, no, on behalf of my team, I say I'm sorry. And I'd like to propose that we reset, refocus, and move forward. What do you think? And she said, absolutely. And from that day, for 3.5 years later, we had a really great relationship because I took the time to get to know her. And I did that many times in that organization where people said to me, the first thing you did is you connected with me and got to know who I am. And I think if we connect at a human level first, before talking about work, and because that's always going to be there, but it's about connecting at a human level,
Mhm.
right?
Now, we're all in the virtual space. Everybody's online, everybody's talking on social media, everybody builds relationships through text messages and online platforms. How do you maintain relationships when it comes to being online? Like, for instance, you might meet somebody at a conference, at a networking group or whatever, and you follow them on social media, and then after X amount of time, you go, oh, I haven't seen that person, I haven't talked to that person. How do you start that engagement again? And do you have this mental note as to, okay, every 4 months I should probably check in with these people so that I can keep that relationship fostering?
Yeah, well, look, there's going to be people that are in your inner circle. There's going to be people in your outer circle, and then and so on. But what I tend to do is people that I've really bonded with or built a rapport with, I will stay in touch with them, and it maybe a couple of weeks might go by or a month might go by, but it's like have you ever had a best friend that you haven't spoken to for so long, and then maybe a couple of years, and then all of a sudden you talk, and it's like you'd never sort of been apart, right? So some people are like that, and these are professional people that I've worked with um, who I may not talk to for weeks gone by, but when we do talk and catch up, it's 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 great. And there are some people that I may follow them on LinkedIn or social media and connect and maybe mention, um, but I think it's really just it's about showing up as yourself and really connecting with people, um, again at that human level, whether it's through virtual or not. I mean, today I've been doing like podcasting since November last year, and all of my podcasts have been virtual. But today I did something different. Um, a friend of mine who's a fitness instructor, but she's also starting a wellness journey, and I'm going to be joining her as a mindset specialist. And I actually went to her gym, her where she
Mhm.
trains these people, and I did a in-person live podcast, and
Awesome.
it was amazing because sitting across from her, you know, being in the same room as her. And it took me a little bit to try and get the tech working because I was like, how the hell do I do this? Because I had two microphones trying to plug it into one computer, and you got to try and, make it work. And in the end, I had two laptops, had one microphone into each. I hosted the Zoom meeting on one, and I joined from the other, and I had my iPhone on a thing, and it was amazing because like when I looked at the playback, how Zoom when the person's talking, it focuses on that person, and it was literally doing that with those two computers, and I was like, man, this is cool. So, but yeah, just that energy within the room, in front of that person, and then we went and had dinner. It was great. So we were buzzing before and after, and then we had dinner and we had a great chat and talked about how we're going to help people. Um, and yeah, it was amazing.
Mhm.
So I think if you the answer I would say is again at a human level, whether it's virtual or whether it's in person, keep in contact, keep checking in with people,
Mhm.
and because it shows that you care.
Right. One thing I find that's very effective is having a good memory too. When you
Mm.
remember certain things about certain people, it really helps with that relationship building part. However, some people don't have very good memories. So, do you have any tips or tricks as to how people can either train their memory to be better, or things they can do to avoid those awkward scenarios. So, for instance, when I meet people, I usually have a conversation with them, get to know them, ask them about their life and all kind of stuff, what they like. And right after that, I jot down their like other stuff that we kind of talked about. So that the next time, if I see that person, I quickly take a look at my notes and go, okay, that's stuff I could bring up. And then they go, oh, wow, you have a great memory. I'm like, yep, I have a great memory. So what are some of the things that you do to one, keep track of some of the stuff that people tell you, and two, to build a greater memory?
I never write anything down. I've never written anything down. Everything is in here. And it's a bit like Jim Quick because he's got an amazing memory, right? Um, but like for me, it's about when you're present with someone, when you're truly present with someone in that moment, you will remember stuff. I've got a memory like an elephant. I can remember stuff from like many years ago, you know. And I've had people and girlfriends say, "You remember that?" And I'm like, "Yep." A memory like an elephant. But I think if you when you're truly present and in the moment with someone, you take that in
Mm,
because you're present. When you're not present, that's when it just goes past, right? So it's about being in that present moment. And I think really, I feel like when you're in that present moment and you're really, really connecting, that stuff, that will stay with you. That memory will stay with you.
mm,
Um, but yeah, for me, I hardly ever write anything down, yet always remember.
mm. Awesome.
I
Well,
got a workmate who's like at work and he's like going, 100 miles an hour writing stuff down. And I'm like, mate, what are you doing? And he goes, oh, I'm making notes. I'm like, why don't you just, you know, put it
pay
into and pay attention and yeah, and then what he does is then he puts it into and so he takes it from the paper into the computer and I'm like, why don't you just do it in the computer or why don't you just record it or, or do something else? But yeah, I I
attention.
I, I can't do that.
Everybody has their system. Um, for you, you mentioned about the podcast. You have some amazing guests on that show. Lots of great content. How did you come about the idea of the podcast and share with us more about why people need to tune into it?
Yeah. So for years, people have been telling me to shut up or talk too much, and yeah, people don't like my voice or whatever. And I've been a singer for most of my life, and I started a coaching journey, which then I decided that that wasn't my full time what I wanted to do, and November last year, we were in a mastermind that I was part of. We were talking about like podcasting and so on, and I went, now that's another way I could voice myself, and so I gave it a go, and I did a couple of episodes, and I really resonated with it. Now I found it really difficult last year to get in front of a camera and speak. Now, I've sung in front of 40,000 people. I've sung in Las Vegas. I've sung, even sung in a prison with one of New Zealand's artists in a maximum security prison, Johnny Cash style. And but getting in front of a camera and talking, I found it really difficult. So what I did this at the beginning, on New Year's Eve, I made myself a challenge that in the month of January, I was going to get up every single day and show up in my Facebook group and do Facebook Lives. And for 31 days in January, I did that. So building that muscle really helped me with being consistent with my podcast. And so why should people listen to the podcast? Well, this podcast is called the Champion Mindset Collective, and it's because we all have the ability we all can be champions in our own lives. We all have greatness within us, and and we all have the ability to have that mindset of a champion. It's not just champions or sports people. We all do. We've just really got to get. We've just got to get past ourselves, like get out of our way and just and really focus on and set intentions of what we want in our lives and then go after it. Never give up. Just keep going because, and you don't need to take big steps. I know, Tony Robbins and people like say, take massive action. And that may scare the crap out of people. But like the thing is, you got to take small action consistently every day. And that small action consistently builds competency, which builds confidence. And if we can do that, then you're going to champion your life. You're going to become a champion in your life, right? So I bring on these amazing guests that I've been speaking to, like, and which you're going to come onto my podcast at some point soon. And what I'm doing is really wanting to help people to share their journey and their stories because each one of our stories and journeys are unique, right? And so that you can inspire someone and help someone. Now, to give you an idea, this change process that I went through, restructuring recently, I had 5 people come up to me and said, "Oh, I'm feeling anxious." And I said, "Go listen to episode 28. It's called Embracing Uncertainty Through Job Losses, Restructuring, and Life Transitions." And they all came back to me and said, "The way you reframe change has given me a new perspective on what change means." 5 people, 1 episode. The other thing is, I can't change the world on my own. But collectively, or as we change our own worlds, collectively we can change the world. But it takes that conscious collective, right? There are so many unconscious people out there. If we start to become more conscious and aware of what's going on with us, then we can start to take the right actions to then be able to implement change right across the world.
Mm-hmm. Wow, powerful stuff. Great words to live by as well. And usually I end the formal interview by asking what's one message that you want to share, and I think that's a great message. But if you have another great message to share, what would it be?
I would say you are worthy, you are loved, and you are destined for greatness. Back yourself and believe in yourself.
Awesome. Great words. So for us to end this whole interview, I got 5 quick rapid fire questions for you. Give me the first thing that comes to mind. You're stranded on a deserted island, one food to eat for the rest of your life, no consequence. What would be?
Sorry, what was that again?
One food to eat for the rest of your life, no
Yeah,
consequence.
one food to eat for the rest of my life. Malaysian food. Love Malaysian food.
Great choice. You get a choice to win a gold medal in any event. Which would that be?
Is it a sports event?
Any event.
Any. Singing.
Awesome. You're going skydiving and you get to bring one item that means a lot to you so that when you're falling down out of that plane, you get this nice action shot with this item. Which item would you bring up with you?
Oh my gosh. Oh, I'd love to take a camera so I can take a photo of me or a video of me. Yeah.
Nice choice. And then also, let's say Hollywood calls and says, "Hey, you know what, Anthony? We love your story. We would love to do a biopic of you. Who would you cast to play you?"
Who would I cast to play me? My gosh. Um, I'd, I'd actually say Jim Carrey,
Cool.
even though he's not the same color as me. But Jim Carrey, I'm sure we can make him look brown.
No, don't find a way. And then finally, what is success like? But before that, give me a number from 1 to 5.
2.
1, 2. So if you had to use a diamond ring as a metaphor for success, how is a diamond ring like success?
Well, diamonds are hard, right? So they can um, yeah, be like a diamond and be sharp and be and sparkle and shine. Yeah, just go for it. Back yourself, believe yourself, and shine like a diamond.
Awesome, nicely done. So that is how success is like a diamond ring. Any final words from you, and what's the best way for people to contact you?
No final words apart from look, you if you're listening to this, no one can stop you. Only you can. Marilyn Monroe said, "Sky's not the limit. Your mind is." Yeah. How can you find me? I'm all over social media. If you look up Champion Mindset Collective, I'm pretty sure it will be at the top of the Google search. I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, pretty much everywhere. So yeah. So find the podcast on Spotify, follow it, share it. Please share it with whoever needs to hear it because I'm not just recording things just to I don't make money from it. I'm here to serve. So if you listen to it, please share it and so that someone gets some gold out of it and insights out of it and be able to inspire them and help them.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. So make sure you connect with Anthony and also tune in to his podcast show. Lots of great guests, lots of great content there. And once again, he's Anthony. My name is Fong. Until next time, today is the day to unlock your peak potential. We'll see you later.